This is the Oppo Find N6, and here are some key specs. Now, as some of you may notice, yes, I am in a hotel room. I am here in China, in Shenzhen, for the launch of the N6. I'm very grateful to Oppo for flying me out here. They put me up in a hotel, but they do not get to pre-approve this video. I'm actually shooting it on the day of the launch, just in a couple of hours from now. So no one other than you guys will see this video beforehand. And some of the things I say, Oppo will probably be like, some of the things, maybe not so much. But either way, these are my personal thoughts and feelings, having lived with this device for about 4 weeks now. Now, I've averaged an on-screen time of about 7 hours and 50 minutes daily, which is quite a lot. I'm a power user. I've taken about 1,000 pictures with this phone as well. So everything that I'm going to share with you guys is just from experience. This is my personal thoughts and feelings. Some of it is, none of it's science. Some other reviewers may have differing opinions. And to save it from being a complete rant, I'm going to share with you my 5 favorite things about this device, and then 5 things I didn't like so much. So let's get straight into it. Firstly, the fact that it is a foldable device that finally I feel like I can use. So for me, typically foldable devices were too thick. The hinges were not reliable enough. They had gaps in them, so they allowed dust, and generally they just felt way too vulnerable. But the Find N6 is durable. It is made from grade 5 titanium. It has a carbon fiber plate which supports the hinge underneath. It's been made with the highest level of innovation capable in this type of foldable technology, and it's even IP56, 58 and 59 rated against water and dust, so it will survive submersion in water. It will survive jet washing if you do that kind of thing with your phone. It also makes it very resistant to dust, which for me was the main issue that I had with foldable devices previously. Getting dust under that hinge for me would be a complete deal breaker, especially if it cracked the actual display itself. Now, Oppo's rated this for 1 million fold actions, which is already pretty impressive, and 600,000 folding actions for the crease to still maintain its smooth look without rising, and 600,000 folds would take you up to about 16.5 years. That would give me a lot of confidence if I was considering a device like this, and in my experience so far, it is a very, very durable foldable phone. Now, why do I love that it's a foldable device? Firstly, you've got a flagship quality smartphone without it being unfolded. It's got Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 processor underneath the hood, and I think just having, first and foremost, it's got an amazing front screen, but then you open it up and you've got an 8.12 inch screen on the inside, which has 2500 nit brightness. I think it's 3600 on the outside. Both are more than bright and usable in direct sunlight. But just having the flexibility of the two devices, often when I'm doing something on the front screen, and say for example I'm on YouTube and I want to see something a bit more, I want to do the comments while I'm watching the video in a much more effective way, I just open it up and it transitions seamlessly from front to open and unfolded. And I think just the slickness of the operating system for me has been the most impressive thing, actually, getting used to having a foldable phone. So yeah, the fact that it's foldable, it's durable, and they've made it in a really nice implementation. Secondly, in terms of my favorite things about this device is the form factor. So as I said in the start, foldable devices for me used to be really thick and clunky, and they never felt flagship to me. They were interesting and niche, but this feels like a really flagship experience. As you can see, closed, it's you can't see that, but closed, it's 8.9 millimeters thick, which is roughly the same as my Find X9 Pro with the case on. Very similar. It's actually slimmer than my iPhone with the case on. So, if you look at the two of them side by side, much slimmer. And obviously when you open it, it's thinner still. So I think, yeah, the design of it, I absolutely love. It's made from really good materials, as I said. It's got an integrated fingerprint scanner in the power button, which works so well, it's instantaneous. So if I take my face out of the equation and just press power, it's quick. It also has face unlock as well, which works very, very well. So yeah, as a total device, aesthetically, the design is very pleasing to me. I think it's really nicely done. Great materials on the edges, very durable. We'll come back to the material on the back, which I'm not a massive fan of, but we'll come back to that. But yeah, generally I think the design is really lovely. I think the control, having the fingerprint scanner in the power button is slick. Face unlock's great. It's got the same customizable snap key on the top here, which I've got mine set to voice recording, which obviously I do a lot in my line of work. And then yeah, I think the camera bump isn't too obtrusive, but you can also rest your finger on it, so it's handy in that regard. When you put, I've got the pen, optional pen case for it, and it doesn't add too much bulk at all. So I think that is a nice addition. And then obviously having the pen, which slips in magnetically. I think overall as a product, it's been very nicely designed. So yeah, the form factor is number 2. The third thing that I enjoy about the N6 is that it features a 6,000 milliamp hour silicon carbon battery, which is why it can be so slim and have such a high capacity battery. And I can leave my house at 8 AM, get back from work at maybe 8 PM, and I've still got roughly 20-25% charge left on the device. And if I'm going out that evening, it supports up to 80 watt SuperVOOC charging, which will get me from 20% to 100% in the time that it takes me to have a quick shower and get changed and leave the house. So for me, the battery and charging situation on this device really removes that charging anxiety. I'm never really having to check my battery levels throughout the day. I know that I've got battery life well into the afternoon and early evening, which for me takes a lot of worry out of using a phone. I can use it freely. Like I said, I have an average on-screen time exceeding 7 hours, which is more than I should. But I still get to use this device without having to worry too much about how much my battery is running down. With third-party bricks, it will give you 55 watt charging, which I think is still pretty good. And with compatible wireless chargers, you can get up to 50 watt charging. So yeah, the battery situation, high capacity, fast charging, great combo for me with the N6. Reason number 4 is multitasking and floating windows, and just the integration of how smoothly everything works on this device. So obviously with the larger screen, you want to take advantage of it. For productivity, you can open many screens with this and keep them floating on top. You can also do split screens to have apps side by side. So for example, I could have Claude AI open on one side and my note-taking app on the other side. And to minimize apps, you just do the gesture of that and it shrinks it down to there. I can tap the top of that, go split view and open up another app, let's say Chrome browser with Instagram, and then you've just got both apps open side by side. If I want to make those both small, pinch with 4 fingers again, and I've got both of those just as floating windows. You can also resize them as well, so I can make that smaller, make that one smaller, and they're all still going. Another thing I really love is when you're watching YouTube, shout out to FPL Raptor, and I open it up, it carries on playing. There's no stutter, there's no loading, everything is seamless. The audio doesn't even stop, it doesn't skip a beat. And I think just the integration of the folding and unfolding action on this device for me is one of the main reasons why I really, really enjoy using it. And just for multitasking, being able to take notes with the circle to search, with the pen, being able to bring up my notes from the top of the screen, just generally in terms of productivity, this is, for me, other than my laptop, this is the most productive device I now own, even more so than my iPad, because I can get so much more done with the floating windows and the multitasking and the note-taking and being able to draw on the screen with a pen that just magnetically slips into the back of the device. I think generally for multitasking, as I said, I think this is the most productive device that I own other than my laptop for portable on-the-go work. Reason number 5 is the camera. Now, I'm a photographer, so generally I have a professional or at least a high-level piece of camera gear on me at all times anyway. But if I don't, or if I don't want to bring it out, I can rely on the N6 to do the job for most things. Even if I'm just, out and about taking pot shots of friends or family. I've taken 1,000 pictures with this phone and I'm very, very happy with it, to the point that I was using the Find X9 Pro as my main phone before, which has an incredible camera system built into it. and I've stopped using that device as my main phone because I'm really happy with the videos and photos that are coming out of the N6. It's got a 50 megapixel telephoto camera, 200 megapixel Hasselblad main camera. It's got the same true color camera as you get in the Find X9 Pro as well, and a 50 megapixel ultra wide camera, 20 megapixel selfie cameras front and on the inside, and it will record 4K video on those selfie cameras. Even 4K 120 frames per second video you can get with the main camera on this device. So yeah, there just really isn't many situations where I found the camera on the N6 let me down. It's more than good enough for general purpose use, and for someone like me who's actually a photographer and cares about image quality, I'm very happy with what I'm getting out of the N6. It's not the best smartphone camera I've ever used, but for a whole package, given that usually with foldable devices, camera is where they compromise. That's where they bring the price down, because they're giving you a lot. So they have to cut corners somewhere. And generally, smartphone manufacturers in the past, when producing foldable phones, the camera is where they cut those corners. But I feel like with the N6, no corners have been cut here. This is a really good camera system in this device. So relatively speaking, this is a great package in terms of camera. Now let's get onto the things that I didn't love about the N6. Number one is the speaker. Now, given that this device, having the ability to open it up and have a really beautiful immersive display, which has a very minimal crease, almost invisible. If you've got content on it, you really can't see the crease. But having that large display, you want the speaker to really be able to match it. And for me, it's a little bit too quiet. It's not quite as immersive as I would hope. Let me play you something real quick. And just, I mean, it's not gonna be a great comparison, but I'll just play something real quick just so you guys can hear it. So yeah, as I said, given that the screen is so attractive on this device, I really hoped that the speaker would match the visual impressiveness of the N6. Unfortunately, it doesn't. So that's one thing that I would say has to count against it. But it's a trade-off, right? You've got such a slim device. It's going to be hard to deliver a speaker system within that matches the quality of the display. Let's move on to number 3. Now, I mentioned in my likes about this phone that it's really durable. The materials deployed here are generally amazing, but something I cannot stand, the back of it is so slippery. It's really hard to convey in a video, obviously, but just it feels like you're touching silk. And that device in your hand without a case on it, if you had slippery fingers or if you'd come out the shower or something and you're holding onto it, it will fall out of your hands unless you hold it very, very tight. Now, I like the fact that it's narrow and makes it easier to grip, but generally being such a slick surface, while it might look nice, it makes me really concerned about dropping it. And even with this case on it in particular, still really slippery. Why not give some texture to it? Like the carbon fiber case that you have. You can actually get that for this phone, so I probably should get that, but it doesn't have a phone attachment. So I've either got to have a slippery case with a pen holder, or a nice slick carbon face case on it, which has a bit more texture to it. So yeah, number 3, it's not a big one, but I wish that the material on the back wasn't quite so slippery and silky smooth. But I mean, some people might like that. Now, for reason number 4, it's one that it's kind of unavoidable with a device like this. At the time of recording this, the Find N6 is not a globally released device. So that means it's got support for its own app market and the Google Play Store. There's 2 conflicting app stores effectively within the device, and two conflicting approaches to those app stores. And for that reason, I get updates from both app stores when my apps that are available on both stores, when they need updating, which again, it feels like I'm nitpicking, but in terms of a user experience, getting notification from 2 different app stores about the same apps within the device just doesn't feel that slick. Now, I can disable the Oppo app market, but then there might be things that I might need to update within that market that aren't available on Play Store. So just that conflicting situation of having a device that isn't global yet, maybe that's why that is. And it's not a big thing to complain about, but just in terms of experience, it feels a bit clunky and maybe an area for improvement. Lastly, it feels like a similar complaint really. Just the fact that when you're using this and just relying on the front display, you've got an amazing flagship experience, everything as you would expect if you had any top tier phone from any smartphone manufacturer. But when you open it up and you're enjoying the benefit of the full display, some websites are not prepared for a device like this. So it means images are slightly lower resolution than you'd come to expect. It means text is formatted kind of weird and you have to zoom in, you have to pinch to zoom in and make the text legible, or captures don't quite work when you've got a large foldable display. They don't seem to know how to handle it. And again, maybe this isn't something I can blame Oppo for, but just in terms of user experience, if you're considering a foldable phone, that's something you may want to be aware of. Some websites don't quite work, whereas some websites like YouTube work amazingly with a foldable device. So that's maybe a plus side for a device like this. But yeah, as a negative, just websites don't quite know how to handle these kinds of devices yet. But that's something that I'm sure will improve over time, and probably not something to give as a mark against Oppo. If I was going to lay any criticism at Oppo's feet, it would be that the speaker system doesn't quite match the stunning visual quality of its displays on the front, and obviously when you open it up in the center. But yeah, it's very hard to make a booming speaker system with such a thin, slim device. So I can forgive them a little bit for that. Overall, I've had a really good time using the N6. I'm happy to call this my main phone now. I find it super easy to be productive. The processor, the battery charging, the camera experience, everything as a total package makes this a really, really compelling device. And if you've been on the fence about foldable phones in the past, like I was, the Oppo Find N6 might be the foldable that you should start paying attention to. Anyway, if you have any comments or questions, please put them in the relevant section. Check out my Instagram @GadgetsJohn, where I am sharing pictures and videos captured with this device on there. And you can always message me if you have any questions over on Instagram as well. I hope you've enjoyed that video. I hope it's not been too long. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.